I'm Brenda Hines, and I'm the Director of Professional Development. Welcome back to our Ninja Skills Training Series. This is a skill set video, and one in which we will talk about guided conversations about price that we can have with the seller to allow them to answer the question, are you willing to list your property at fair market value? Now, fair market value is determined by the price which a buyer is willing to pay, given their choices, and the price at which a seller is willing to accept, given their choices and the competition. So let's look at value through a buyer's eyes. Buyers enter the market primarily concerned about three criteria: size and style, location, and price. Now, as they start sorting through properties, the features and amenities also become important to them. Before we dive into a specific example of a guided pricing conversation with our seller, let's look at some of the vocabulary that we use, or the vernacular of the real estate profession. The first is the word comps. Now, I don't like using the word comps because if I tell someone who's not a real estate professional or who doesn't have a lot of experience in buying or selling their own property that I'm going to send them comps, they may think that I'm going to give them a ticket to get into the next concert free. So a comp means that we are comparing comparable or comparative properties. But even that can be a challenge for some sellers because some sellers think that no home is comparable to theirs. So instead of saying comparable or comparative properties, I use the word relevant properties. And instead of referring to a specific price in the beginning, I guide them to that specific price by saying, I'm going to send you some properties that are relevant to positioning your property on the market. It's that range of value that is important because we remember that I provide, but you decide. So we want to provide our sellers with all the information that they need to establish the range of value, and then to honestly determine within that range where they would position their property on the market. That becomes the list price.
So let's look at a way that we can demonstrate fair market value by showing, not telling. So our subject property is a 2,400 square foot home built in 2006, and it's located in Lenox Village, which is in Davidson County, Area 1. And they can see not only the range of sales price per square foot within comparable or relevant properties, but also the average, which is right at $140 per square foot. But I want to demonstrate further value in my services by going to the tax record to see if I can find a relevant for sale by owner. So I just click on one of the MLS numbers, go to Tax ID. From there, I'm going to click on View Larger Map and then change layers to show recent sales. Now you can see that the ranges are here at the bottom, and so I'm looking at the blue properties. If I click on this and see a greenhouse, if I were to go to that MLS report, I would see that that is an active property. The one right here does not have a house at all or an MLS link, so that is a for sale by owner. So I'm going to view the tax record on this, see that it's 2,654 square feet, and that it sold for $355,000 at the end of April this year. Anytime you can find a for sale by owner on the tax record and use that as part of your analysis of fair market value, it's really great in demonstrating the value of your services. So let's go back and look at the tax record map just again, and we can see that we can find several other closed properties. We're just going to want to make sure that those are included on our MLS report.
Finally, we can use the scattergram by Focus First as a visual way of showing the line that tends to represent market value. But at this point, it's important to bring it back to our sellers' why, their motivation for selling, where they want to go and when they want to be there. Remember that we show instead of telling, and that we provide, but they make the decision. Now, occasionally you're going to find a seller who, no matter how much you've guided them to that range, is going to tell you that their property is worth more than that range or at the higher end of that range. So you need to steer them back into that conversation and get them back into that range of value within which they can make the decision by asking them, do you feel that being outside this range will get you there on time? And if not, what's your plan B? Now, on the other hand, if a seller agrees with us about the range, we want to make sure that that becomes their decision and that we solidify that decision by asking challenging or clarifying questions. Because remember, it matters who says it. So we could ask, if we got a contract for your house today, what would you do? And if we were to find a buyer in the next 72 hours, are you going to be okay with that? What if it's the first buyer that looks at your property? Are you going to be okay with that? So now it's time to practice. Working with a partner or a small group, choose a property that's relative to your local market. And using the MLS or also the CRS tax record for off-market properties, establish a range of value that represents the range which a property is likely to sell. Once you've established that range, then gain agreement by asking the question, would you agree that your property will sell somewhere on this line? Now, dial it down a bit more by saying, based on what we've talked about, where do you feel that your property will sell on this line? Where do you want to price your property on this line? If they agree or you agree, then you can move forward. But if not, do you think that your price will get you there on time? I hope you've enjoyed understanding and uncovering pricing conversations that allow you to establish a range of value and a point at which to position the property within that range of value or the list price. Thank you for your attention. Work together and enjoy the rest of the exercise. Thanks, and I'll see you again soon.